Can a mother love a killer? And what happens after he's caught? In the case of Jeffrey Dahmer's mother, we know more than you might expect. When it was discovered that Milwaukee serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer had murdered, sexually assaulted, and cannibalized 17 young men and boys, the thoughts of many naturally went to his victims and their families.
I hope you can deal with what you've done.
After Dahmer's arrest and as gruesome details of his killing spree were revealed, his parents Lionel and Joyce Dahmer also found themselves caught up in the media frenzy. At that time, the public and journalists alike wondered if there was something in Jeffrey's family history that might help explain his behavior. Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested in 1991, and in 1992, he was sentenced to 16 life sentences. He was killed in prison by another inmate just 2 years later. In 1994, Jeffrey's father Lionel wrote about his experience in the book A Father's Story. He has since contributed to a number of shows and documentaries about his son's crimes. But what is known about Jeffrey Dahmer's mother? As Lionel Dahmer wrote in his book, he and Joyce divorced while Jeffrey was still a teenager. Joyce Dahmer, born Joyce Flint on February 7, 1936, experienced mental health challenges all her own, with prolonged periods of depression, among other serious symptoms of what was later diagnosed as postpartum psychosis. Lionel Dahmer wrote, Joyce had gone into an acute depression. She was extremely irritable and spent much of her time in bed. Joyce was prescribed barbiturates and morphine for the condition. In the chaotic aftermath of their divorce, Jeffrey stayed with his father and stepmother, Sherry. He began drinking soon after and took the life of his first victim in 1978, less than a year after he had learned of his parents' divorce. Joyce still kept in touch with her son while he was in prison, and they spoke on a weekly basis. During a telephone interview in August 1995, she said, "When I think of what Jeff did, I stop breathing. I asked him, 'Do you still have these urges?' He said, 'Yes, Mom. I'm so glad I'm locked up. I'd be afraid what I'd do if I weren't locked up.'" The whole time, Joyce continued to contend that her son was insane. She continued, "Milwaukee turned my son into a demon. They didn't give him an insanity verdict. I do not deny that what my son did was horrible. Nobody listens. He didn't know what he was doing."
He's not a monster. He's a human being. And I think he deserves some help.
Though Jeffrey confessed to the killings, he pleaded not guilty at first, and then changed his plea to guilty by virtue of insanity, a defense strategy the jury in the case found unconvincing. In 1994, the same year her son was murdered in prison, Joyce attempted suicide in California. She was discovered unconscious but alive in her home. Joyce attempted suicide again in 1996 on Jeffrey's birthday. For the most part, Joyce kept a lower profile than her estranged husband Lionel. She turned down interview offers and never wrote a book or spoke publicly much about her experience as Jeffrey Dahmer's mother. In 2000, Joyce Dahmer, by then going by the name Joyce Flint again, died at the age of 64 from breast cancer in Fresno, California. After moving there shortly after her divorce, she worked at a retirement home and as a case manager in HIV and AIDS advocacy. Before she died, Joyce fought to have her son's brain preserved for scientific study so that, in her view, similar crimes could be avoided in the future. Lionel Dahmer disagreed. The brain was preserved for a time, and Jeffrey Dahmer's body was cremated. The brain was cremated later. According to one Dahmer defense attorney, she had to live with the idea that she was the mother of a monster, and it drove her crazy. If you or anyone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by dialing 988 or by calling 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255.